Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's talk about Palantir Technologies as it's down about another 2% on the day. We're going to be talking about why I think this is actually a good thing for PLTR because we have those earnings coming up in just a few short weeks, November 2nd pre-market, and lots of eyeballs are looking at Palantir stock. With that being said, Palantir is still trading very well and is still in its breakout zone after about that 2-month consolidation phase around the $15 price targets that we've seen. Now, talking about Palantir, before we get too far, hit that like button and subscribe for daily videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, supporting a smaller content creator. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, and let's get into the video. Now, talking about Palantir, what we do have in terms of the general markets today is a lot of red everywhere. Quickly, if we look at the actual markets, you see Dow Jones, S&P 500, NASDAQ all down basically about 1%, and the world market's even down about 1 to 2%. We see a lot of bearish news going on with China right now in terms of their economy. What we do have, and also Tesla taking a beating today. We won't get too far, don't get too sidetracked here, but Palantir is sitting at the 17s. We have this cup and handle being formed right here at this 1844 buyback point. Now, like I said, Palantir really has been sitting in this consolidation phase that's down here. And if we make my screen a little smaller, get me out of the way, this consolidation phase right here between the 13s and the 16s, you're seeing a breakup point right here. So a little bit of a profit taking is not necessarily a bad thing. Where we have resistance that we will need to retest if that buyback point is reached, and especially if we're seeing a little more of a correction here before more momentum and possibly more volume can come in at these lower prices to push Palantir past that buyback point and can eventually possibly hit this resistance point. That's why I'm not mad at all, because a little bit of a correction here could cause a volume surge, especially like I said with earnings that's going to be coming November 2nd. Now, closing back at that and really quickly looking at some of the options contracts, we see options expiring at tomorrow. Lots of them are still actually above these $17 strike prices. Lots of calls right here. These might not finish in the money, but even next week, looking at those expirations, a lot more call options above these $17 strike prices compared to the puts, which is interesting right here because a lot of people are taking a bet that Palantir will have a higher valuation here in the future. Now, what we see, like I said, is a short-term bullish outlook, and that Palantir has experienced this breakout after this 50-day moving average around that level of dollars, around that $15 level, like we mentioned right here, talking about that. But with Palantir, and especially a supply zone that could be formed, is that this showcases that a little bit of a correction here for the current quarter, and with that major resistance that's ahead of us, like I said, I don't think that's a problem. Palantir is already up over 100% year to date, which that comes with a higher valuation, which is one of the biggest criticisms for Palantir. In looking into its 1-year forecast, Palantir has maximum estimates of $25, indicating upsides here of about 45%, but also on a drawback, looking at the other side, down about $5 for the bearish potential. But what's interesting about Palantir is this quarter earnings, if you didn't watch yesterday's video, is going to be very important. And that is because there is a lot of eyeballs, like I said, on this, and Palantir is past this consolidation breakout zone of the $15 that it's been sitting in. And why this area that is in is important is because history is literally repeating itself right here. Before earnings were released for last quarter, Palantir shot up to $20. As soon as those earnings were released, we had major resistance, lots of sell-off, immediate 25% correction back into the 15s right here. If Palantir is able to surpass and beat those earnings, that's where we could possibly see these 1-year forecasts and maximal estimates of these $25 being hit. And especially right here, like I said, it's already in that break accumulation that it was sitting for in that 2 months. So a little bit of a decline here and a little bit of a cooling off does not necessarily mean that this is a bad thing. And even in the short term right here, that prices are likely going to face resistance at that $20. That is a very strong point of resistance, which could be a supply zone in the future if that breakout does occur. And that's why this earnings is very important. But we've seen a lot of bullishness in terms of the earnings. We've seen multiple contracts being signed, such as the Department of Defense contract, the top bidder for the United Kingdom Health Service blah 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 contract. They're the top bidder. That still needs to be confirmed. And you also have a lot of collaboration with PwC, getting involved with different industries, which is important for Palantir. So right now we're seeing support at about that 15 and the 13s and resistance at the 18 and the 24. And that's exactly what you're seeing right here, right at about that 18, where that cup and handle is being formed. That buyback point is at 18.44. So make sure you guys are taking a look at that price target, and especially what's going to be happening with trading volume around that area. And speaking of volume, right beneath about that average that we've seen at about 50 million, right now at 46 million, market cap at 36.7 billion. One thing that I like to see in terms of bullishness is long-term perspective on Palantir. Yes, great to talk about the short term, talking about this cup and handle, talking about these short-term resistance points at about $18, $20, especially with earnings coming up. But what we do see is multiple media articles that are talking about Palantir is not just here for the short term, but Palantir should be here for the long term. Talking about other stocks like Nvidia, Costco, Palantir is falling on this list on the 7 best stocks to buy for a long term to hold for a lifetime of wealth. And talking about its key contractual and also having trustworthy contracts with the government brings a lot of credibility to the company. And these are also multi-year contracts. For example, the Department of Defense contract is a 3-year contract, which shows you a steady revenue and steady flow of income, which can help with these projections for future growth metrics in the following years. And even getting a B rating right now, already up 175% in this year. Valuation is one of the biggest criticisms for Palantir right now, and still getting these good ratings from multiple different analysts does give it a great prime and a spark to be a long-term stock and not just looking into the short term. And looking even into Kathy Wood's portfolio right here, Palantir is on that list, and it is among some of the stocks here that are having stake increases, investing more in Palantir. And here you see it right here that there was a 1.15% stake, but Palantir that was established last quarter in ARK Invest between these prices of 740 and 1660. But what we're seeing is there was a 38% stake increase between 1396 and 1999. So even around these prices right here, we still have some of the biggest fund managers that are still purchasing Palantir, which shows that they are even willing to take the risk at these high price valuations in terms of the other stocks within the same sector, thinking that Palantir is going to pay off on these investments and on these basically risks that we're seeing right here. With that, Palantir will be looking interesting. We'll be keeping a close eye on it. Tesla takes a beating today. We see that. Especially, it'll be interesting right here. Does Tesla have any type of a overflow into some of the AI stocks? Because we've seen Tesla has talked about AI, is working on artificial intelligence, even though that they are a car company. Them coming down here and closing basically down about 10% of the day at 220, we see a large correction. And what really happened to Tesla was that they had missed their revenue metrics by a decent percent. And they came in right here at 66 cents a share, down 37% from a year earlier, as we've seen misses with their delivery reports in terms of the cars that they are delivering. And they gave that hint earlier in October. And basically we just see the news come to realistic. Accepting that news is where we see that right there. But on a side note, looking at Tesla, people are looking into Q4 and also looking into 2024, looking into the Cybertruck delivery launch. How the success of that is really going to gauge is going to be a large volatility generator for the stock. So we'll be keeping a close eye on Tesla too, but not getting too sidetracked. We'll be keeping a close eye on Palantir. And like I said, that 1844 could be a very interesting buyback point if that point is hit. Other than that, I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Peace out. Have a great day.